What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing my buddy's 2013 EVO X MR. This car has a Varis front bumper on it and the Varis side skirts, which is the one I showed in my M3 video. He's the one who helps me out with the headlights on my EVO and all the trim painting on my M3. So you can see he has his headlights custom painted as well. He had a nice feature on his, like leaving some chrome bits. He didn't do a full blackout like I did. Carbon fiber Rex Speed hood scoop. Like I said, the Varis front bumper kit, obviously, with the license plate bracket. He put the stock MR wheels back on. He's waiting to get some spacers on there with the OEM Brembos. And it's on H&R lowering springs, but with the Bilstein shocks on the MR, it sits a little bit lower than the GSRs. It also has the Varis side skirts, which are a nice touch. Carbon fiber matte roof wrap, which he did himself. Carbon fiber Dulux trunk, color matched the car for a nice touch on the MR with the COBB dual or quad exhaust, I mean. But the car sits really nicely. It's really simple and clean, just like how I like my car to be. Taking you around the car entirely. Lots of you guys requested a review of this. I'm really excited to bring it to you today. Going on in the interior, similar setup to me. He has WeatherTech floor mats, Takata race harness. This is the street use one like I have, with the clip that goes into the back seats, both driver and passenger, with stock Recaro seats. It came with the OEM Lancer Evolution shift knob, or e-brake, however I mean. Pioneer head unit, custom shift knob, Passport rear detector with the mirror mount, and a raw EVO pillar pod with dual AEM gauges for boost and air fuel ratio. He also has a sound system in here with some Pioneer tweeters and sub. So I'll take you around, show you his setup in the trunk. It's pretty nice the way he does all this stuff, because he does a lot of it, like I said, himself. So he's good with like audio and everything like that. So you can see his stereo setup. He has this Alpine unit right here, mounted in the middle for show. So yeah, it's pretty like stock looking, but sleek and clean, which I really like about this car, like I keep saying. So there's a preview of the trunk. The carbon fiber trunk, it's so much lighter to close. You can see that this Trends logo, which is the shop that painted the trunk, is left with carbon fiber to show the actual trunk, which is a nice feature. So taking you around to the engine bay of the car is very similar to my car, modifications wise. He's stock turbo with the E85 with a 5150 racing tune, and the power level is, like I said, similar to mine. It's around like 400 wheel horsepower, but on the MRs, the transmission makes less power. So the MRs tend to make less power on a dyno, but on the streets, they're just as fast, if not faster, because the transmission holds boost between shifts. So you actually end up being quicker, even though it looks like you made less power. So let's go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what we have going on underneath here. He has hood dampeners on here, which is a really nice feature, because EVO X come with a hood stop normally. Right off the bat, Password JDM strut bar, which he waited forever to get. So a really nice piece right there. He has a Cosworth oil cap, depot, upper intercooler piping. He has the stock airbox with a drop-in filter, which is good for power on a setup like this. Also running the stock blow-off valve. Because this car is pretty much like a sleeper. Like, it looks very stock in the engine bay. It doesn't look like there's much done to it, which is what my buddy wanted to do with this car. So it's not very loud, and it's not like obnoxious and easy to tell, you know, there's stuff done to it. So it's very, very sleeper. He has Radium dual catch cans somewhere in here. You can see the tubing going all the way underneath, which is hidden underneath all this, so you can't really see them. But yeah, the engine bay, like I said, he has a turboback exhaust, so consists of a downpipe, test pipe, the COBB Quad Turboback, stock intake. He has ID1000 injectors, and what kind of fuel pump do you have?
AM.
And he has the AM 320 fuel pump. That's it, right? Not missing anything else? So, what did the car actually make on the dyno? Do you remember what the numbers were?
332 on E85 and 293 on 91.
Yeah, so it made 332 horsepower on 85, which seems really low, but the car is just as quick as mine, which made like 400. So, you know, that's what I'm talking about. The transmission is such a big difference. But a really nice feature with this bumper that I actually just learned about today is that he installed a camera up here so that he doesn't damage his beautiful Varis bumper. So when he's pulling up into a spot or something and he wants to check if he's too close to the curb or not, he can go in and pull up the camera on his nav screen and check to see. So let's go ahead and show him how that camera works real quick. So go into the car. Power on, you can see the gauges firing up. So you can see right there, that's the front of the car. So it's really nice just to be able to see like the lip right there. To give you an idea, he'll walk in front, so you can see that you know, it's really cool stuff like that. He also has his radar detector, a piece mounted in there for quick, you know, to enable or disable the alarm chime. Some small stuff is he moved the auto drive control button from the middle to the side. I think that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's pretty stock. And interior, you know, just very nice little features to separate this EVO MR from every other one on the street. So let's go ahead and get the camera set up and take you all on a drive of this car. Alright guys, so I'm about to go drive the MR. I haven't driven an MR in a long time, but I've been in this car quite a bit, so it'll be a good experience. So the first thing is obviously with the dual clutch transmission, the car will roll back if you're on a big enough hill without the brake being deployed. It's just like a stick shift car, and the car shifts just like a manual transmission does. So to go into gear, you just lift up on this lever here, on this nice Tomei shift knob, and it rolls forward very slightly when you let off the brake. Originally, it doesn't. Do I need to put in the seatbelt clip for mine? Is that mine or yours? It just went off. Alright, so we're getting the seatbelt thing all figured out. So, just flip around. I just looked for a clutch. I'm so used to driving EVOs with clutch, I just push down for the clutch pedal, nothing there. So far just putting around, the car is very smooth. Transmission's very solid, and it feels like literally just like a manual, which is, I mean, I'm so used to driving my EVO GSR that, you know, made that mistake just now. So go ahead and get out of the shopping center, drive around town. I'm gonna make some comparisons between my GSR and this MR, and just let you know about my opinions on both of them and what might be better for you. So obviously driving a manual is, lots of people think it's fun for sports cars and stuff, but not everybody can do it. It's pretty easy to learn, but not everybody wants to learn how to drive it. And plus, driving an automatic like this has its place. The shifts are lightning fast, especially if you upgrade the clutches on this car. It will shift lightning fast, like GTR speed. People can build this transmission up to like a GTR tranny where it's shifting on par with like GTRs and supercars, which is just ridiculous to imagine, but it does get pretty pricey. You have nothing done to the transmission as of yet, right, Jesus?
No.
Yeah, so nothing's done to this transmission, but we do have an issue with the diff going out, so we're gonna take it a little bit easy today when we drive the car, because all these hard launches and stuff, just over time, you've owned the car for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
So yeah, just over time, you know, all these hard launches cause the diff to start to go out, which you might hear in the video, a little bit of a whine. So if you hear the whine, that's it. So yeah, I thought it was T-case whine, but apparently shops say it's diff whine. So just cruising right now, it's just in complete automatic mode. So it's just shifting by itself, and just driving this car, because I haven't driven an MR in so long, it's just crazy how stick shift like it is. I just really can't get over it. It literally feels like you're driving a GSR with no clutch. But as I was talking about earlier with the power difference, on paper this car will make less than the GSR will. There's just no way around it because of the drivetrain loss. But it's about the same because this car holds boost between shifts, so it's like flat foot shifting, which you can do on GSRs, but is known to be risky and stuff for your transmission and just isn't good all around to do. It can hurt your synchros and stuff like that. So yeah, you definitely have an advantage. Like Jesus and I have done some fun pulls and stuff around town and stuff, just messing around, and the cars are pretty even from what I remember, right? They were pretty even. That's a 70 horsepower difference between my car and his car, but I think that he's going off of the original dyno numbers, so it's more like a 20 horsepower difference, right? Because that's not dynojet numbers you're referring to, right? You're going off the
Mustang.
Yeah, so Mustang to Mustang, like my car calculated like 354, his was 332, so 20 horsepower difference. So that was my mistake earlier. So 20 horsepower difference, but the cars are like the same, and the torque has to be kept a lot less on the MRs, not because of the engine, but because of the tranny. So building this tranny can be expensive. I mean, what's something that's common to go out on these trannies? Do you know? Is there anything like a weak point?
Just clutchbacks, as far as I know.
Which is, that's like a few grand to replace, right? An upgrade?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're planning on really going past the stock turbo bolt-ons with the E85 point, I would probably recommend going with the GSR. Most people that are going for crazy big power go with the GSR because it's cheaper to just mod in general, but those that do go with the MR build end up, I'd say, being rewarded in the end because it's just so fast. I think that a well-built MR will beat a GSR, but it's just, you know, you gotta be willing to take the money to modify the car to that extent. So, like I mentioned, he has the radar detector up here. A little bit different than mine, so I'm not familiar with it. But yeah, I mean, the car's driving very smooth so far. The Bilstein shocks that I mentioned are on the MRs, are different than ones that come on the GSR. So the H&R springs that we have are the same, but the feeling is very different. This car feels a little bit stiffer than mine does, and it sits a little bit lower. So it just feels like a little bit better ride quality. It's not as bumpy. It's a little bit smoother, but stiffer. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's definitely higher quality. So, you know, that's another benefit with the MRs. You also get bigger brakes on the MR, or not bigger, but slightly better brakes. So, yeah, to switch over, we're gonna go into sport mode now to see if there's any difference in cruising. So just one tap up on the transmission down here to get to sport mode, which is, most people recommend driving around town in sport mode, because super sport mode, which is the highest level on this car, is the shifts are just so aggressive, because with each mode the shifts become more aggressive and more quick, so that you're ultimately faster. People say, you know, super sport mode is for racing or tracking, so when we do pulls later, we'll probably do super sport mode, if that's alright with Jesus, to show you a difference between the sport mode pulls and the super sport mode pulls. But yeah, like I said, everything else is pretty much the same. We have traction control down here.
Driving auto will pull the...
And you can also flip over here to the left to get to use the paddles to shift your gears, or you can also shift up and down using the shift knob like most Tiptronics. So Jesus mentioned to me earlier, something I was unaware of, is that on the MR it will not shift for you if you're in Tiptronic mode like this. And some cars, it'll, you know, if you take up to red line or too far into red line, the car will shift for you and just say, you know, you forgot to shift. But this car will not do that. So you gotta be careful, because, which is a benefit or a disadvantage if you forget. It's good because, you know, you can take the car into higher, like, RPMs and not have the computer limit you, but it's also going to be a disadvantage because if you are lazy or forget to shift for some reason or have a brain fart, you might end up having engine issues. So you can hear the whine right now a little bit, so if it's very audible, just ignore it. We're getting it fixed. But yeah, on the interiors, again, we have this whole new piece, which is a nice attachment for the Pioneer. But you know, his pillar pod by Raw Evo, segueing over to that, fits better than mine does. So I think the dual gauges is less weight. Because I mean, we've tried everything to fix mine, and it's just I think the third gauge is too much weight for the pillar to hold. So for all of you that ask, Raw Evo is no longer in business, so you cannot get a Raw Evo pillar pod anymore unless you buy used. You have any good songs that show off the sound system? We can play a few seconds of it without getting issues. So If you know any good songs, go ahead and pull one up so we can show off the sound system a little bit. But just driving around, like I said, it's smooth. I mean, the boost is, you know, stock turbo, so it comes on, I don't know, around like 3,000 RPMs. The car, I think, is tuned for around the same boost as me, around like 27 PSI, where cars run the same. But yeah, I mean, all steering response is very similar to the GSR. There's not really many differences besides just the tranny. You know, the tranny and the brakes are the biggest differences on the GSR. The special edition EVO 10s were literally GSRs with MR trannies, which I was told by a salesman is just kind of like, it was like a scrap parts car. They said extra parts and just threw them together to make the special edition EVO 10. But you know, it's comfortable. It is nice driving automatic every now and then, because all three cars that I own are stick shift. It is nice to get into a sports car with a good automatic transmission. Cars like the 350Z, they kind of have a laggy and just slow and, you know, just chunky, chompy, just, you know, unreliable automatic transmission is not very fun to drive. A car like 350Z, I would get a stick shift all day long, in my opinion. But a car like the EVO is a little bit harder choice, and you can see it does downshift for you automatically but won't upshift for you. One gripe I have is that the paddle shifters are not connected to the steering wheel, they're connected to the steering column, which means if you're making a turn and have to shift for some reason, it'll be harder to do that because it's just a little bit awkward to move your hands in the middle of a turn to shift. But there's very rare instances that you'll have to do that, so it's really not something to worry about. Taking advantage of the automatic and just go into automatic mode, right? So, still trying to figure out the transmission a little bit. It's kind of different getting used to the GSR to the MR, but like I said, the main differences are suspension, brakes, and tranny. The suspension is noticeable, but it's not like a deal breaker. It's not a huge difference to where it's like, oh my god, I need to go get rid of my GSR struts for these Bilsteins. It's not that big of a difference, but it is noticeable if you're driving and you know it's there. It's one of those things where if you know it's there, you can kind of tell a difference, but I mean, to somebody who didn't really know, they might not be able to tell the differences. Like, here's a small bump, and it just feels stiffer and more, you know, in tuned. Like, it just feels less jolty than my GSR does. The GSR feels a little bit looser, but stiff. This is just like more like a coilover type feel. So, yeah. So let's cruise around a little bit more and then jump on the highway and do a pull or two. Like I said, I'll compare the sport mode versus the super sport mode. I'm not even bother cruising around in super sport mode because I know just how aggressive it is. There's not really a point to doing that. It'll just put more stress on your clutches than you need to, so not really a point in doing that. But yeah, I mean, this car has been extremely reliable. You haven't had any issues with it yet, have you? In terms of anything. I mean, it's an EVO, so they're generally pretty reliable, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
So while you're in normal mode, I just hit the paddle shifter, and now I'm shifting for myself again. Is that correct?
Yes.
So yeah, that's also another way you can get into Tetronic mode. And if I want to go back into full automatic, how would I go about doing that?
You can switch over and then switch back.
So I'd move over and move back, and that says D4, so that means I'm back in automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yep.
Since you're in sport mode, that's why the revs are at a higher point.
So then to get out of sport mode, I hit the button up or down, and now I'm back in normal mode, which will lower the revs. So I would say normal mode for just pure cruising, but if you're doing a little bit of spirited driving around town, you're someone that likes to get into boost a lot, I'd say sport mode is the mode that you'd probably want to be in. But yeah, like I said, the really only downfall about the MR is just the, you know, you gotta people do oil coolers a lot on this car. I know it's like the first thing lots of MR owners do just to help it run a little bit cooler. And then just the tranny maintenance overall is just more expensive than a GSR, because a stick shift is just, you know, clutch and transmission fluid, and then you're pretty much golden. There's really nothing else to it unless you're driving it stupid and grinding gears and messing up synchros and stuff. But, you know, if you don't know how to drive stick shift, or you're just looking for something different, I would say an MR is definitely a good option. Like I said, if you're going big turbo, you can still do it. It's just you're putting more stress the more parts you add on this tranny. So that's something to consider. But I mean, Jesus personally does not know how to drive stick shift, So he went and got the MR instead of buying to learn how to drive stick shift, and he, as far as I know, he loves it. I mean, he's always talking about the transmission and stuff, and he's planning on doing the clutch upgrades in the future, and along with the upgraded diff now, and it's gonna be a beast. I mean, you'll see when I do the pull how fast this car shifts. I've been around it quite a bit, and it's just a perfect shift every time, which you can't replicate with the GSR. So, you know, there's somebody in particular and a few of my viewers that have been asking me, you know, GSR or MR, which one would you pick? And it just really comes down to, like I said, personal preference and what your goals are, like I always say. So if you know how to drive stick shift, or you want to learn and, you know, you just enjoy feeling the feel of going from gear to gear, slamming gears when you're doing pulls, hitting rev matches, heel toe downshifts, you know, the GSR is going to be the way to go because you'll get more enjoyment out of it. But if you just like to, you know, if the car's a daily, you like to cruise around town when you're not doing pulls and stuff, the MR is very comfortable, livable car. I mean, the transmission's not rough when it shifts in normal or sport mode. It's very smooth and tame. And then when you want to get on it, you know, you have a really fast transmission. So they're both great cars. At the end of the day, an Evo is an Evo. It just really comes down to what your power goals are. Because like I said, it will be more expensive to build up an MR to be a high horsepower car, but if you have money to spend, then it's a great option. And personally, I like the feel of shifting gears myself. I've always had stick shift cars, which is why I got the GSR, and the fact that it's also cheaper and easier to monitor without having to worry about the transmission. So that's the reason why I got the GSR personally. And but you know, an MR is very appealing, especially when you're getting into like higher end cars. Like I've driven some higher end automatic transmissions and been in them, and this car is not far behind in terms of shifting performance. I mean, it's a very, very good transmission. I mean, for those of you that have driven MRs, I'd be curious to hear your input, so let me know in the comments down below. But I mean, I think that they're great. They're just very, very, like, very well built. It's just, you know, once you push them a little bit too much, they'll start to give you issues. But I mean, 350 torque is usually what I hear, it being the safe limit of the MR tranny. So that's still a good amount of torque, and you know, it's still a lot of fun. Like I said, the car is fast, so we're gonna go ahead. It's a little bit busy right now, so we're gonna jump onto a freeway nice and open to let the car breathe a little bit. So you can go into sport mode while you're moving by holding the button, but you cannot do super sport mode without being in a complete stop. So we won't be able to do that right now. I'm gonna go into Tiptronic again, so take control. But the paddle shifters are in a very nice position though, I will say that. You know, aside from not being mounted to the steering wheel, they're very easy to reach to and get to. It's not a long reach with your fingers. It's very, very easy. I'm not gonna go as in depth about the Evo in general, about like the interior pieces and like stuff like that, because I already covered that very thoroughly in my Evo 1 year review, because the MR and GSR are very similar, like I said, so there's really not a point in wasting video doing that. So if you want more information about the Evo and Evo 10 in general, I'll link that video either in the description box or as an annotation so you guys can see what I'm talking about and learn more about the car. But taking this turn a little bit, I mean, it just feels tighter and less body roll than the GSR does with the same setup. Because like I said, the only difference he has is the upgraded front strut bar, which will make a difference, but I mean, for comparison reasons, it's not going to be too crazy. Oh, he also has the rear strut bars also too, which I forgot about. So, I mean, he has a little bit more on me, but I've been in the car before they had them, and it is still a little bit, you know, stiffer. So, we'll go ahead, move over and drop it into third gear, and do a quick few pulls in sport mode. Show you how it feels. This is what's nice about having the automatic, is you can just hit a button and you have perfect downshifts, whereas in the GSR, you know, it's a little bit more difficult. So we'll go ahead and roll into it. So the torque, you know, I've never driven this car before, and the torque, you can definitely feel the difference between the GSR and the MR, being in the driver's seat. The torque is a lot smoother, and it's a lot lower. The GSR is more of a pull you back in your seat, and you know, just the drama from shifting gears fast and, you know, banging gears is a lot more. But this car is a lot more tame in that respect, where, like I said, the GSR is just a lot more dramatic. You know, you're always just bam, slamming gears and getting your head pinned in the seat, where this car, it can pin you in your seat, don't get me wrong. I've been in the passenger seat plenty of times and have had this car pin me back, but in being in the driver's seat, it's a little bit more tame, and it's just easier to, you know, to control and deal with. It's not as insane feeling. And like I said, this car is about the same, maybe if not a little bit faster than my car in a straight line. So, you know, it's definitely an interesting experience to see. We have a COBB right over there on that side, so we're gonna have to take a little bit further down a route. But yeah, it's really a privilege to be able to drive this car and just make this comparison for you guys, because I know that lots of you have requested this video and wanted to see this car in action for a long time now. So happy to be able to, like I said, showcase you this really clean MR. But yeah, like I said, so far it's very livable. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the video with just one last pull in super sport mode, and then leave you with my final thoughts on the car. But other than that, I'm pretty sure I covered everything about the car. I mean, I believe Jesus, like I said, has plans to build the tranny, COBB turbo and stuff. So when that happens in the future, we'll make an update video on this car. But as of right now, he's been at this really reliable setup for a long time. You know, like I said, the tuner is 5150 Racing, formerly COBB SoCal, and it's just been cool because the car is significantly faster with the right tuner. Because finding a tuner that can do this SST transmission, I'm gonna stop really quickly. Oh, just missed the light, but at least we got into super sport mode. So, but yeah, as I was saying, finding a tuner that can tune this SST is very important. And also, while you're stopped, you want to go into neutral, so you're not burning up your clutch. That's one thing with these dual clutch transmissions is, or not burning up, but wearing it out, I should say. Because if you just leave it when you're in gear at a light like that, it's kind of pointless, because it's like the clutches are engaged, like the clutch pedal is depressed if you're in a manual. So there's not really a need to do it. It's just extra wear on your clutches. So just put it in neutral if you're going to be at a stop that's longer than like a stop sign or something. But I already tell you, in super sport mode, just cruising, the shifts are abrupt. It's like a little bit jolty, and it just feels like race car. So the downshifts are more precise, they're faster. It seems like the car just feels a lot more alive, and like it's just you know, ready to get out and do some action. So like I said, we have a COBB up here, so we're just gonna cruise.
Once you feel a good spot, you can.
But yeah, like I said, once we have an open piece of road, we'll unleash this beast and show you guys the difference between super sport mode. It should be pretty dramatic difference. So go ahead and move far over. But I mean, just cruising, the car's amazing. You know, just not much difference. I mean, you've been in my GSR plenty of times, Jesus, so I'd like to, what's your input on the MR versus GSR? Like, do you regret getting an MR at all? Do you wish you'd gotten GSR? Like what do you think about it?
Both options are pretty good to me. When I was first thinking about getting an EVO, I was originally going to get the GSR for a stick shift car, but once I heard that the MR was going to have paddle shifters with dual clutch tranny, it was something I really wanted to get and try out and see what would be the biggest difference. And so far, I love it. Everything's been great about it.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember like you were even saying like the paddle shifters make it feel like an F1 car, like a race car. I mean, it just feels so. Yeah. It just feels so responsive. This car is responsive. That's a good word to sum up the EVO MR, responsive. And it's nice having the 3 modes to switch between, because you know, you don't always want to be in the super sport mode day to day, having these really fast and jolty shifts. I mean, you just like to cruise and enjoy yourself in normal mode. I mean, just, you know, lay back, relax, and just see what the car is, you know, just enjoy it, instead of just always be racing and always be, you know, going wild open throttle and stuff, because that's just not really practical. You know, the car, I mean, I've seen it. It can definitely break loose and it can do everything a GSR can. It's just, you just gotta have the money to do it. So this whole MR versus GSR debate, I mean, it seems like on the EVO forums, it's either, you know, the MR gets a bad rep, it seems like, just because it's an automatic. But it's an automatic that is just, it's an exception to automatics. It's just so good. And I think that since people think that the EVO is, you know, like a $35,000 car at base, and I think a $39,000 base for the MR, I believe, people just don't give it as much credit. But, you know, it is a great tranny despite the price point. It's just a very good bargain, which is something the EVO is known for. So I think that we're good. We passed the cops. So I'll go ahead and slow down and do a quick pull. I'll do a 3rd gear again. So here we go. difference in the shifts, just a lot crisper, a lot faster, and just more responsive. So Super Sport is definitely beneficial for doing pulls and stuff. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and do one more pull. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get off the freeway, head back this way, and then end off the video. Just do a quick scout around, make sure that you don't get in trouble here. But yeah, there's not really much more to say about the MR. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling just because I enjoy, you know, talking about these cars so much because they're just so great for the money. I mean, I've seen plenty of GSRs, but not very many well-built MRs. So good job on this one, Jesus, because not everybody has the patience and the, you know, willingness to make an MR as clean as this and as fast as this, if not faster. So it's definitely nice to always see an MR that is well-built, that's for sure. But it looks like we're clear, so you know what, I'll just do, like I said, quick third gear. Fast, definitely fast. So go ahead and drop it into normal sport mode, and then even into normal mode. But yeah, so that concludes my EVO MR review, guys. I mean, there's really not much more to talk about. The car is just amazing value, great transmission, and it puts down the power amazingly, but in a different way than the GSR. So it just depends on how you want your power delivery, and like I said, if you want the drama that comes along with the GSR, which is fun, but like I said, you know, you do have to drive a stick shift daily and deal with stuff like that. So not everybody wants to deal with driving a stick shift on a daily basis. So I mean, you know, MR is a great alternative for people that are looking for just a nice automatic transmission that it can be fast when you want it to be and smooth and livable when you know, are just doing your day-to-day drive. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions about the car or anything I discussed in the video. My link to my EVO 1-year review will be in the description box down below. So if you want to check out more information about my EVO 10 GSR or learn more about the EVO 10 in general, that'll be a great video for you to watch. So thanks to you all for watching, and see you in the next video. Alright, so before we actually let you go, we're gonna take a few on-ramps just to show you the sway bars handling, because Jesus was saying that it is a pretty big difference when you take turns. I don't really take any aggressive turns in this car. So now that we have the okay to take an on-ramp or two, we'll really get to feel the difference between you know, having sway bars and not having sway bars. So that'll be a good experience. Alright, so here's an on-ramp coming up. So let's see. Let's get just a little bit of gas to feel the difference in the coil or the struts. It's definitely stiff, I will say that. After taking a turn like that, it really does grip. It feels like just the body roll is eliminated on this car, because on my GSR it's still really good. The EVO handles really well even stock, I'd say, but the sway bars, or the strut bars I mean, they do kind of help stiffen up the chassis just enough to kind of help reduce some of that body roll, it feels like, and just help the car feel a bit more planted to the ground. So take one more off ramp.
And it's on the middle setting, it can still be a little more aggressive.
Oh, so I mean, yeah, so these strut bars can be even more aggressive than this. So it's just on the neutral kind of middle setting. So that's pretty impressive that you can make it even stiffer, which would make even more of a drastic difference. Like I said, we'll do one more off ramp, which is just a little bit more curvy than that, just to see how it feels on that, and then we'll wrap up this review for real this time. So like I said, we'll take this off ramp, which is more of a sharp turn. It's gonna take it a little easy, because like I said, it's not my car, so still being respectful of that. But we will get on it enough to get a feeling of, you know, like I've taken it in my Evo versus, you know, see these strut bars in action. So I will tell you, the more and more I drive this, it is pretty nice not having to worry about the shifts. Gotta admit. Alright, so take this in third. Start off wide. Definitely stiffer. I can feel the car breaking loose on that, which is saying my Evo never does. My Evo never breaks loose on that turn, ever. And what kind of tires do you have on here? The Yokohamas?
No, they're just Goodyear F1
Yeah, I don't know if the tire, I'm sure has something to do with it, but these tires have good tread on them when I looked. So, I mean, the tires have good tread, but it's just that really was a big difference. I'm glad I took that on ramp because, you know, that was a lot different. I was not expecting the car to break loose that much. I actually had to throttle on and off to keep it, you know, from kicking out like crazy. Because like I said, you know, not my car. I want to make sure we keep it under control. So, that'll conclude the review. Hope you guys enjoyed, and